Sahana bhavatu sahana bhunaktu saha viryan varavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we were reading about how happiness is not an optional thing. It's not like it's okay if you're not happy. There's no such thing. It is a necessary human condition. However, our happiness, we notice, is rather fragile. Why is our happiness so fragile? It's because we delegate it to others. Such an important thing, not such an important thing. The most important thing in our life, we delegate it to others. And the result of that is it becomes fragile. Now, what do we have to do? We have to start taking responsibility. You can't say, oh, I'm not happy, but so and so did such and such. You can't do it. It's your responsibility, right? You can't say, oh, I was driving, but what can I do? He came and banged into me. It's your job to keep your car safe. A good driver not only doesn't make mistakes, but watches out for the mistakes of others. You can't say, oh, I'm so helpless, I'm so helpless. So, what are we doing? We are only pursuing happiness. That's all we want in this world. People don't believe it. They say, no, I don't want happiness. I want success. Arey Baba, what do you want success for? Do you want success to be miserable? No, you find that if you get success, your belief is you will be happy. No, I'm not looking for happiness. I'm looking for marriage. Arey Baba, why do you want marriage? Because you want to be happy. No, I don't want all this nonsense in this world. I want to go to Himalayas and stay there. Why do you want it? To be happy. I don't want anything from this world. I just want realization. Why do you want realization? To be happy. So everything in this world boils down to one single thing. Some people live extremely selfish and self-centered lives. They have obnoxious behavior. Why? Because they live them happy. And some people live noble, beneficial lives. Why? Because their happiness is the bottom line in all things. All right? So the sole pursuit that we are all involved in is the pursuit of happiness. So what is the difference between us then? If you're only doing this, what is the difference between? The only difference in us is how correct are we in our understanding of where it is. That will determine whether you find it or not. So therefore, responsibility lies with
ourselves.
And what is that responsibility in?
To figure out where actual happiness lies.
Right. You have to figure that out. It doesn't lie with the body and its pleasures. It doesn't lie with the mind and its shenanigans. It doesn't lie with the intellect and all its amazing powers. All right, so where were we? The sole pursuit happiness. So far, so good. Any questions up to this point? Oh, so let's continue.
Hari Om Janki ji, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Joyce.
My question is about regarding the concept of anticipation that you mentioned last time. If I understood correctly, you mentioned that we anticipate the possible consequences of our actions in order to be prepared for any eventuality. And in this way, we would avoid being badly or negatively impacted. My question is, wouldn't this process put a damper on anything we undertake? I mean that by always thinking of the worst case scenario, let's say, by anticipating or predicting difficulties or challenges, wouldn't this be jeopardizing in a way the very joy or happiness that we draw from anything we undertake?
Yes, we would. But you have taken anticipation as only a problem. That is what happens when we say anticipate. Everybody only thinks problem. What problem will come? We anticipate the whole thing. Problems don't arise merely because there's a glitch. Our only concept of having a problem is I wanted something I didn't get. This is a concept of a problem. But that's not the only problem. The problem is also I wanted something and I got it. Remember Bernard Shaw's great words? He said, there are two great tragedies in this world. First is not getting your heart's desire. The other one is getting it. So we've seen that, right? So many times we wanted something and we got it. And then what? We are at square one only. So yes, it does put a dampener. And if it does put a dampener, then maybe we can aspire for something better.
Okay.
Okay, because if you're aspiring for very, very shallow things and you realize that they are shallow, then good for you. Because that gives you an opportunity to investigate something better. Suppose it is something that it is very powerfully your nature. You cannot remove, you cannot analyze it away. Then you must be able to understand why you're doing it. It is because it's so strongly your nature, you have to do it. And that's why you're doing it. So if you function in the world like this, you will be safe from all sides. I hope that's clear. So one way is I understood it's a stupid and petty and futile thing. I didn't bother only, I didn't waste my time. All right. So that's good. Second is I understand it's futile, but I can't execute this. Then I go ahead and I do that with enthusiasm, knowing that in this particular case, it is through contact, it is through exhaustion that I will gain control over my desire. Right? So, both ways, it's a great help to us. Now, you say, how is the second one? That one is still sounding very boring. So what happens is when you're not getting so carried away, you become highly productive. You immediately understand what you need to do, what you don't need to do. And therefore, obtaining that object becomes much easier. But when you're like, oh my God, this is so wonderful, I have to get this, and all excited about it, then we keep making mistakes and make it more difficult to get the object.
So anticipation doesn't mean only seeing the problems, but having a better understanding of the whole process and the consequences, and then making decisions accordingly. All right. Yes. Thank you. That's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So where were we? Okay, I think we were at
Ma'am, just one question in continuation to her. We say anticipate, but our understanding also have a limitation. So sometime we may not able to anticipate, or we can anticipate wrongly. So what is the good thing in that?
That you have engaged your intellect. Because at the end of the day, what matters is never the external results, but that you have sharpened your intellect. It's almost like you have sharpened the tool with which you're doing things.
Right.
And as your intellect sharpens, you'll be able to understand what you can anticipate and what you cannot anticipate. There is only a limited amount we can do, and that's the amount we have to do. It's the same old thing, You know how we say a human being is made up of spirit and matter. Okay, so matter we can somewhat understand. But there's always an unknown. So that means in every action, there's always an unknown.
Mm.
If you are like, oh my God, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it. No, because there is an unknown. There's always a joker in the pack. What you can do is just do your part very, very well so that you are free when the joker in the pack arrives to be able to deal with it. I mean, okay, let's take an example if it's too abstract. Let us say that you have to leave for work every day at 9 o'clock in the morning. And you plan your day to leave at 9 o'clock in the morning. You will get late. You have to plan to leave at 8:30. Then any joker lands up, you can deal with it.
Right.
Right? You have to plan to submit your IT accounts in the first week of April. Right? If you wait right up till 31st July, on the last day, some other problem will take place.
Yeah, the website hangs.
Hmm.
The
So,
common thing.
yeah, all the time we keep it to the last minute so that at the last minute, if anything happens, we can't deal with it. And then we get all stressed out and we create more trouble, and then we are, whole life is.
Right. Right. Thank you.
Janki ji, just a question. Consistency in action sometimes doesn't happen. So even if the intellect, you're using your intellect, but sometimes it may be not like you would know, like for an example of an account, maybe sometimes in April you've done your thing, but some other time next year you probably haven't done it. So how do you correlate to that with the intellect?
Because, like every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, we have to pay advance taxes. If you keep closing your accounts, you know that at the end, sometimes it's difficult for you. So you try to do it a little earlier. You organize yourself based on these things. Say, okay, I know I'm not so consistent, so let me do little bit. We believe happiness comes or calmness comes by us sitting in meditation, going to a class, to be so peaceful if I go to class. No, it comes out of every moment, right action. See, you're not stressed out because there is nothing to be stressed out about. Everything is done. Whatever needs to be done has been done. So
But that happens with a person who's consistent. Like for example, maybe like 3 years or 5 years, I have done something consistently, and maybe the sixth year it just doesn't happen. So why does that happen? Is it you? Is I don't think it's not the use of an intellect.
it is your mind takes over
Okay.
because either you have decided that this which I have done for the last so many years is not a sensible thing to do. But that's not what people say. Well, oh, I don't feel like doing it anymore. I don't feel like doing it. It's not a consciously taken decision. This was a bad thing or a wrong thing or an unnecessary thing or an inappropriate thing, whatever in the world I have. But it is to do with the mind taking over, something else attracting the mind. You know what? When you do it with the intellect, it means you've thought the whole thing through. That okay, I did all this wrong thing, or I whatever. You thought it through.
So is it because as the knowledge keeps seeping in, your consistency levels also start increasing?
Yes, Yes, but not like the way you're saying it. It almost sounds like an effect. Consistency is what is practice. It's like you think, oh, okay, one day I'll become wise and I'll be consistent. No, it's a daily battle.
Hmm.
Ma'am, just to continue this point, anticipation means you know that you're doing it something for the 4 years, and there is a probability that your mind can take over anytime. So you have a plan for that as well. That means anticipation.
Yeah, yes, you know there's a possibility always. So you nip such thoughts in the bud. They will come, you have to get rid of them. Say, okay, this is not a thought I'm going to encourage.
I have a question, Janki, too, on this, where you said mind can take over anytime. So I know, I think in class somewhere in one of your lectures, I heard we only have thoughts. There's no separate section, intellect and mind. It's the type of thought defines whether it's mind driven or intellectual. And according to what I'm understanding, more you do your sadhana, daily studies, your intellect sharpens. But still, mind can take over anytime. Still, that fear is that you're. So, is that what it means? Vinashkali Viparit Buddhi, that even if that you're sharpening your intellect, mind can anytime take over. So, there's no guarantee. It's just that continuous sadhana is the only protective measure that you can take to make sure mind does not take over. Okay.
Yes, because this we have to understand that the mind is a very powerful thing in us. It's not like, oh, my mind is taking over. It's like very powerful. When it takes over, it will knock you out flat. You can be at the verge of realization and the mind will do.
Okay, that's what my question was. So, verge of real, but once the person who is realized, then they're free of mind. Then only.
Yeah.
But until you reach that point, it's still.
Yeah. So on a daily basis, we have to apply ourselves. We have to do things because we've thought them through and we believe this is the right thing to do. It needn't be the right thing. So what is important is I thought it through and I decided it was the right thing.
Now, on a similar note, in Gita, where somewhere Krishna says that whatever you progress do in the spiritual path will not go to waste. So, does that mean, however, intellect you have sharpened so far with your sadhana, that can still go to waste, or that will
No,
like
cannot go to waste.
no?
No way.
No.
Like think of it like this. Suppose you went to school. You came to 7th standard. Now in 7th standard, you're just not doing your studies. You will fail and repeat 7th standard. You never go back to 6th standard.
Okay, so your buddhi will take over. Your mind can take over at that point, but it not let you drop down from whatever till point you have. Okay,
Impossible. Because it's like you've grown to that level. Now below that, how can you go?
thank you.
We don't usually claim to want happiness. We say we want a laptop or a partner or rain or sunshine or a burger or chocolate. Whatever we claim to want, it implies only one thing. Our fights, our bad debts, corruption, all evidence the same basic urge to be happy. The proliferation of malls, travel, restaurants, relationships, virtual games, work from home, all stem from this primal, irrepressible urge. People seek, I think this is quite clear, right? Everything we do is for happiness. People seek fulfillment in different things, usually in what other people have. Each one is quite certain about what he needs. Just stop for a moment and ask yourself this question. Are you not very sure what you need? A house, a spouse. And they're all so clear, right? A house, a spouse, a child, a grandchild, the latest golf clubs, a cat, Lamborghini, yoga, meditation, something. Each one is looking, we are very sure that I want this thing, and with this thing, I'm going to find happiness. But I've never examined that thought. What do? I look at others. Each one is looking at someone who has that enviable possession. I say, see, he has got it or she has got it. The startling thing, I hope you realize that the startling thing is that the person who has that coveted possession aches for another. We're all looking at others and saying that, right? So the person you're looking at and saying, oh, I wish I had that, he's also looking at someone and saying, I wish I had that. The man who earns 1,000 earns to be in the shoes of one who earns 5,000, who envies the fellow earning 10,000, who eyes the fellow getting 100,000. So that means after years of hard work and even success, we will still be finding a way, still encountering the same sense of latina, the same sorrow at a higher price. I hope that's clear. So you work so hard and you feel exactly the same, except at a higher price. Then, should we sit around content with what we have? Doesn't progress come with aspiration? Ah, my friend, if there was a simple solution, would one need to go laboriously through a book? It would be covered in a page. So, should we be content? No, that's not right. Should we aspire and then reach the same position that we are currently in? That also doesn't seem right. Then what are we supposed to do? Problem is clear? Problem is clear? Yes? Nobody's saying yes. Nobody's saying no. I don't know what to make of
Yes.
your life.
Yes, it's clear.
Problem should at least be clear. That nothing that we achieve makes this lacuna go away. That is a problem. So what is our solution? Now let us see. The author has promised a guarantee. Let us see if there's any guarantee or they've just been tricking us. So, what is the solution? There is only one. Pause and think this through. Think about this question on the highest priority. What guarantees happiness, fulfillment, bliss, or satisfaction? Can there be an insurance on happiness? One that we could get for our children too? Bizarre as it may sound, there is a path to guaranteed and insured happiness. Undeniably, there's a premium though. Now, if you take any insurance, you'll have to pay premium, no? So there's a premium involved. What guarantees happiness? This is a question that is relevant to all of us. It is something to ponder carefully before we set off in some blind, mad pursuit. Else, we stand the danger of achieving happiness, of achieving what we sought, but bypassing happiness. What guarantees happiness? Promotion, education, spouse, children, health. What is the thing or group of things? Is it minimalism or veganism? Is it getting rid of things? Is it poverty or abstinence? A student is longing to graduate. Her whole happiness is centered on achieving this goal. She is convinced that once she achieves this, she will be very happy. And we all agree. But look at those who are graduates. Are they happy? A sick person yearns to get well. However, are those who are healthy also happy? What about wealth or relationships? We long for them, but are those who possess these happy? Then would it be better not to have them? But think about this. This is very important. I hope you're able to follow the line of thought, because what has to happen is we have to think about it. So then should we just say, why have all these things? They're not going to get me happiness anyway. But now think about this. If graduates are not universally happy, are non-graduates? If rich people are not happy, are the poor? If married people are not happy, are singles? To guarantee happiness, we need education on its first principles, on how it is attained and how preserved. It's not going to fall into our laps. We need to apply ourselves to it within the time and, more importantly, the thought that it needs. It is time we gave happiness itself the attention, the scrutiny it deserves. So, how can you guarantee yourself happiness? First and foremost, what do you have to do?
You have to understand that whether or not you have the object or not, that has no bearing on your happiness.
You have to first start pondering about it, thinking about it, giving it the importance it is due. But we don't do that. We rush off. In my mind comes a thought, I want an ice cream. What do I do with that thought? We just go and have an ice cream. There is no thinking about it at all. So what? If we want to guarantee ourselves happiness, you're not following anybody. You have to think this thing through yourself and find that final answer. Okay? Here you can only, the book can give you ways to think. But if you don't do the thinking, ain't finding it, sorry. Don't delegate happiness. You have to do this yourself. Otherwise you will say, oh no, you didn't give me happiness, but I can't. You have to get it for yourself. Okay, so far so good. So what is it that will guarantee me happiness? I need to think about it. I need to understand the cause and effect relationships. I not to figure it out in my mind. All the time I'm looking for some kind of action. I want wealth. I want poverty. I want a big house. I want a small house. I want luxury. I want minimalism. All the time I have some thing to get, to do, to achieve. Why can't I just sit down and think for a little bit? Hunting down mysterious happiness. In this pursuit, the primary, okay, so you're going to think about it. So to think about it, what is the first thing we have to think about? The primary step is identifying its location. That is the beginning of the course correction. That happiness we are hunting everywhere, it is to be found only in the self, only within. This is one of the world's most misleading statements. I do not know how it should be said, but there is no way the sages have said it by which it has been understood. Every way they have said it has been misunderstood. So there's no way to say it. But this is the truth. It can be found in the self, only in the self. Now, the trouble is, if I ask you, Deepraj, where can you find the self? Sorry, where can you find happiness?
In the self.
In the self. Samta, where can you find happiness?
In the self.
Right.
When I,
Everybody knows the answer to this question. Okay, now we all know the answer, but have we found happiness? Where is that lacuna?
We don't know where this is.
It's within, the lacuna is within us.
We know all this, right? Everybody in this class knows everything. I don't know why we have this class. Who doesn't know this? So have we attained absolute and complete and infinite happiness? Why not?
Ignorance.
Okay. We haven't understood what this sentence means. So we have all sorts of interpretations of it. What does it mean it's found in the self? Oh, I must go sit quietly in my room by myself. No, that's not the self. That is an understanding. I must get away from work. I must plunge into work. I cannot understand this statement. It is only in the self. And that is why the entire sadhana is only to understand this one sentence. As of now, every single person in this class knows the answer. If I say, Vidushi, where can you find happiness? Where are you, Vidushi? Vidushi?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying in the self that I don't see.
Everybody knows. Did you all learn about this today? You knew it already. Nothing new you learned. Then what are we supposed to do? Now the whole world knows it. I mean, the whole Vedanta world knows it. You can only find it in the self. You can't find it anywhere else. Okay, got it. Now what? Now we go back to our crying. It makes no sense whatsoever. So therefore, what we need to do is, now if you've been listening, you have to give me the right word. What we need to do is
Educate ourselves.
Think.
think. Very good. Who said that? Mahesh?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I've been thinking of this forever. I don't know if I yet have the answer, but it's okay. Happiness in the self is understandable because we say it's, but the problem is it is within is the where I'm finding it difficult. In the within part, the
Yep.
self is
Think about it. Think. That is what they say, self-inquiry. And then when you do self-inquiry, you do some other nonsense. It's very tough.
That I have to add, Jankiji, that was the very big question. I mean, somehow you stumbled on that, yes, the happiness is within. To be very true, I mean, my spiritual journey towards this is very small, 4 or 5 years back. But again, how to get there is the confusion that you said. Everybody said it, but there was a clarified way. Literally, the thoughts of saying, okay, once my kids graduate, maybe I need to go to an ashram and find it, or you minimalize it. Now, okay, let's move to a smaller house, give up, then we'll get. And all literally these thoughts ran to my mind until I have to be thankful to you. Now it's a guided way. Okay, with journey within means not closing the eyes, but again, thinking and developing the intellect. So that makes sense.
Getting to the point of it. What is it trying to say? We're all the time adjusting actions and adjusting environment. Very frustrating. If the sages were capable of getting blood pressure, they would have got it. But they're not
And we
capable.
even know the yogas, but even we don't know the right way to do those yogas. Even bhakti yoga, we think, okay, going temple, Raj yoga, okay, thinking like meditation, yoga, but not the right way to do those 4 yogas. And thank you for telling
Right
us.
way, nobody's going to tell you. You just have to somehow get it yourself. Now, how you will get it, don't ask me. If I knew, then I would be shouting it out from rooftops. But this much I know. You just have to get it yourself. You have to think. Until suddenly, by some miracle, you suddenly get it. Why did you suddenly get it that day? Nobody knows. When will you get it? Nobody knows. Can you predict that if I study very hard, I will get it in the next 10 years? No, sorry. But we know this much, that the only way to get there is to think about it sufficiently till I finally get it. That's all we know. Now I don't know what else to say. So, right, where were we?
Janaki ji, can I just make a comment? I'm Rashmi. This is the first time I'm joining the class. Actually, Samta had introduced me to the class, so I'm very happy to join. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about this. Not to use the same word, but this class is, I'm really happy to be a part of this class. But I guess I just had a comment that it's an interesting, nice way to look at it because like you said, we are always looking for the next thing, or okay, like, our kids have to do good in school or whatever it is, one thing after the other, but we don't realize that behind all these desires, we're just looking for happiness, right? I think when you state it, it's very obvious. Yeah, we're all looking to be happy, but I don't think we think about it like that, right? So just even realizing that, I think is kind of an aha moment, you know?
Yes.
So
Only thing is, then having realized that, then some people say, okay, all I want to be happy. So what makes me happy? Ice cream. I'm going to have an ice cream. Take no action, take no
right.
action. Just think about it. So I'm not,
Right. And
my family is stressing me out. I think my peace and happiness lies in being away from them. Relax, relax. Nobody said all this. So think to understand what is he really talking about. So my children have to graduate. Can I leave that? Of course not. How can you be so irresponsible? So when you leave it, you're irresponsible. If you do it, you're attached. Then they say, Papa, chhod do mujhe. What way? Both ways you people criticize us. So what am I supposed to do? Only understand. Okay?
thank you.
In this pursuit, the primary step is identifying its location. That is the beginning of the course correction. That happiness we are hunting from everywhere, it is to be found only in the self, only within. Ignorance of this fundamental truth is the springboard of sorrow. The problem with this line, ignorance of this fundamental truth, the springboard of sorrow. The problem with this line is that when we say I'm looking for it within, I am constantly changing an external environment. And that's not going to work. And that's the springboard of sorrow. People who are doing very well in business or something, suddenly they come across Vedanta, they say, what is the use of all this? They close their business and they go somewhere. One man Swamiji used to tell us about. He was in Europe. And Swamiji used to have lectures at Sri Lanka. So he met him there. And he said, I heard your lectures and I really wanted to come and ask you something. Can I come and meet you? So he said, sure, I'm in Sri Lanka for the next few days. Most welcome. And the man said, I was running this, very, very big business in Europe. And everyone was causing me stress and all. And I thought, oh, what do I want to do with this business? I have enough money. So I sold my business and I came to this beautiful country, Sri Lanka. And I was very happy for the first 6 months. And now I'm so agitated, so stressed. I don't know what happened. It was so beautiful. What happened now? Swamiji had to tell him, come leave your business like that. If you're getting stressed, you have to figure out how to work without stress. You can leave the work. So many people are of the view and believe once I retire, I'm going to be peaceful. Once you retire, not only are you not going to be peaceful, you're going to take other people's peace away as well. So this whole concept of retirement, kurvanne veha karmani vishesh chatagum samaha. The Upanishad says, may you live 100 years working. 100 years working. Concept of retirement. So, when you're saying I find it in the self within. So then what do? They say, okay, it's not in my business, right? So I'm dumping my business. I'm going to Sri Lanka. No, you get agitated. What to understand? Some people say, my husband causes me so much trouble. My wife causes me so much trouble. I'm going to leave this person and go away. Leave and go away and see what happens. Do not take actions like this. Do not change environments like this. Just find out what that sentence really means. Just find out, what does that sentence really mean? Okay. Not understanding that happiness is within, we innocently and determinedly set off in hot pursuit of some object or being. At some stage, this quest lets us down. the hot pursuit of some object and being, Joyce, when people read this, they're always thinking, oh, I was aspiring to be CEO of my company, or aspiring to buy diamond necklaces. So I'm going to leave all this and then I'm going to go into some kind of retirement. No, it's the same thing, whether you're aspiring to be CEO or you're aspiring to leave everything. Same thing. To paraphrase T.S. Eliot, Valentine's Day is the cruelest day. I don't know how many of you have read The Wasteland, but that's how he begins. That April is the cruelest month. It can be. He begins, why is April so cruel? Because it is the time of spring where everybody's supposed to be happy, but they're doing it in such a weird way that somehow they are not able to get that happiness that it's supposed to give. So Valentine's Day is the cruelest day. It can be utterly miserable, setting up expectations that are only ultimately dashed. And even those who enjoy it find that it gives decreasing happiness over time. We then bewail our stars, question God, or go to the shrink. It won't help. We've tried to read self-help books and are considering another one now. But this book won't help either. This is very bad publicity. Who's going to buy this book? Nobody's going to buy it and no one's going to read it. This book is also not going to help. Only one thing will help: understanding the truth. Perhaps this book may give us a new direction in which to think. Let us try to find universal truths and apply them to our particular situations. Okay, so this is the method of knowledge. First, you locate the universal truth. This is a method of philosophy. First, you locate the universal truth, what is true for all people at all times. And then you learn somehow to apply that to yourself. Now, there's no way we can apply it to ourselves until we actually understand what that truth is. And that attempt at applying it to my particular situation is what makes me really understand what this truth was about. Let us try to find universal truths and apply them to our particular situations. We will deliberate on it. Think, scrutinize, contemplate, and then some more. That reflection will reveal the truth. Hopefully, this book will be of some assistance in the process. May it prove a useful tool. So, what have you learned?
Locate the universal truth, then apply to your particular situation.
And you do that by?
Thinking.
Thinking and reflection.
Thinking, reflection, cogitating, contemplating, thinking about it, not being in some inspiration all the time. Some people are like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. It's all emotion flowing. Please, very nice to have the emotion flowing, but calm down.
That's what I have a question, Janaki. What is the difference between overthinking and contemplation? You just want to make sure you don't. Overthinking sometimes then can cause, it's not the good thing to do overthinking. So is a fine line between contemplation and?
Big difference. When the mind takes over your thoughts, it gets involved in the analysis. It is what these people call analysis paralysis, overthinking, because the intellect is switched off. There are some points, and the mind goes on repeating these points ad infinitum, ad nauseum. This is called overthinking. But when the intellect is working out something, it's like it's working out a maths problem. So it's got this far. Now from here, it's going to get this far. It's going in some logical progression. So much is covered. I was doing accounts with somebody. I went completely mad. While you're talking of one figure, it goes to another figure. It just creates so much confusion. I mean, of course, all these questions are there. Of course, let me do so much. Then I will go to question number 2. It's very tough. It's very, very tough. Trying to develop thinking skills in ourselves is very difficult.
So it's right to say contemplation is organized thinking and overthinking is unorganized when mind takes over.
Yeah, the correct definition will be when the mind gets involved in thinking, it's called overthinking. When the intellect directs those thoughts, it becomes thinking. When the intellect directs those thoughts to the higher, it becomes contemplation. Together, through the book, we will use the process of logic and reason and some occasional fun to establish truths, concentrating more on facts and less on opinions. Each one has an opinion, and God save us from everybody's opinions. Not only they have opinions, they are constantly telling us their opinions. But that doesn't take us closer to the truth at all. Let us identify facts. Like some people will say, oh, you must vote for BJP. Some will say, you must vote for Congress. And some people will say, Congress has destroyed the country and BJP has brought it up. And some people will say, no, BJP has destroyed it. Congress has brought it. It will go on giving you opinions. But no one will tell us what is the fact on which you are basing this opinion. Obviously, we cannot live without opinions. But is there some fact which we have started with? Or no, I like it. That's enough. That's good enough reason for me to say something. Concentrating more on facts and less on opinions. This is the grand tradition of the ancient Vedantic scriptures from where this knowledge has been culled. The ancient scriptures refers to the Vedas, the Upanishads. Now that we are going to do a retreat, I hope you all will join us for the retreat to read it from the Upanishad itself. Your hair will stand to know what an Upanishad says. Can you believe? 10,000 years ago, they said what it is. And we still haven't got it. I mean, like, what must be the depth of that knowledge? On the question. What is the difference between thinking on how universal truths apply to my situation and personalizing? Only the presence of the word I. If you say, how does a universal truth apply to this situation? You're doing an application of a law. If you say, how does that universal truth apply to my situation? You're personalizing. It's only the use of that word. Use, I don't mean just next time we change the language. I don't mean like that. The bottom line is it's all about me or it's all about understanding a truth. Now, the reason I'm applying it to my situation is because if I don't apply it to real life situations, how am I going to understand it? Now, I don't know what's happening in other people's lives. So I have facts of my own, which I have seen or experienced or whatever. So best to apply it to those because you have the maximum knowledge there. But you're not, but what you're trying to do is understand the truth. I can't hear you. Write it down.
Could you just ask her question till the time she's writing?
She's finished. I'll just come to you. If I get emotional, then have I personalized? Not necessarily. If you get emotional, that means you've touched a nerve. Doesn't necessarily mean you personalize. You touched a nerve, so that's a good thing because you can check whether you have got to some important fact or not. No, emotions don't necessarily personalize. I mean, if you're doing it as an experiment, okay, let's say that you're doing an experiment, okay, and you connect two wires, and then there's a spark. Then you know, right, that there is a reaction here. So therefore, there is a cause and effect working here. Okay.
Ma'am, I did not understand this. Can you explain this thing with some example? What Mamta is asking?
Suppose a year of some universal truth, okay, and then I'm applying it to myself, and when I'm applying it not to myself but to a situation I know about, and then that generates a lot of strong emotion in me, that means I've touched a raw nerve, right? So here is something for me to learn. Just like if I was doing an experiment in a laboratory, I had two chemicals and I put one into the other and something took happened, that means here's something for me to learn.
Means, does this mean I started with applying the intellect and then the emotion took over? But that is not personalizing.
No, just because you're feeling an emotion doesn't mean you personalize. You can feel the emotion and say, okay, I've got somewhere, whatever. Just the feeling of the emotion, just the behavior of the mind doesn't mean the intellect is switched off. You are completely capable of feeling strong emotion and the intellect functioning. In fact, that's what you should be able to do. Otherwise, every time emotion comes, intellect is gone out of the window, it'll be very difficult. So you can feel strong emotion, but you can continue to use your intellect.
Strong emotion could be again means negative or positive, whatever, but still it's under control.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Janki, can we say that on the same point?
One second. Nine. Somebody else said something, right? Who had a question? Did anyone else have something? Samta, did you have something? Somebody said something.
No, Janki.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Naim, go ahead.
Thank you, Janki. So can we say that the more evolved a person is, the more sensitive they are and the more they feel?
Depends on what that word more means. If you mean by the word more that they feel for a wider section, then yes. But if you mean by the word more that they're very sensitive and everything, every time anyone says anything to them, they burst into tears or they jump with joy, then that's not correct. So if you mean by the word they feel more means their emotions are for a wider cross section, then yes.
Thank you.
In fact, such people, they are less hurt when you say something negative about them. Because they are like, oh, so cute. It's like a child, Suppose you're in the lift and you meet your neighbor's child. And your neighbor's child, you say, oh, what a pretty dress you have worn, beta. And then the child turns around to you and says, but I don't like your horrible t-shirt. Then what will you say? Do you say, how dare you speak to me like that? You say, oh, so sweet. You can't take other people's nonsense seriously. You're so cute. You'll pluck her cheeks and say, so cute, beta. You don't like my t-shirt. Next time I won't wear this horrible t-shirt. How you treat if it's somebody, if it hurts you, oh, the child said this to me, that means same level. Because imagine she says it to another child that, oh, I don't like your dress. Then that child will say, Mommy, how she's talking to me. She doesn't find it cute. So as your emotions go to a wider arena, the reaction to people saying nonsense to you sort of comes down. Of course, now, I mean, I don't want you to suddenly take this as a very harsh indictment on yourself. Oh my God, I was so hurt. That means I'm so horrible. Please don't take it like that. What it means is that this is a natural growth process, and sometimes some things are very deep in us. And we just can't keep judging ourselves all the time. You have to just like take a chill pill. I am what I am, okay? Yes, I feel hurt. You have a problem with that, then that's your problem, not my problem. Okay, so we have to just be sort of very happy to be who we are and not like keep on judging ourselves. Oh, I'm developed. Oh, I'm not developed. Who cares? Because sometimes when you say it, you don't realize it, but people use it as a very harsh sort of sentence on themselves. So be warned not to ever do such kind of things. Choice. What if our happiness depends on the happiness of others? For instance, if a mother has a very ill child, or a frontline responder who's witnessing children dying as a result of war or hunger. Is the process of finding happiness the same? Can the mother or responder even able to find happiness? In fact, yes. The calmer the mother is, the better she will take care of a child. The more the responder can stay detached from that situation, the more help he'll be. That is why you need trained responders. That is why psychiatric help is or psychological help is given by trained professionals. We are all not supposed to go and advise them. We are all involved. So they're trained. So it's not that our happiness depends on the happiness of others. Our happiness will depend on that we are able to serve them, that we're able to do them good. And not in all situations will you be able to do good. So that's that.
Jankit, you had a question.
Hmm?
To arrive at happiness, do we have to go through a process of negation? That happiness does not lie in the world, does not lie in money, does not lie in intoxication, or does not lie in, doesn't mean that you try everything out, but you have to rule it out, because we don't, it's like a multiple choice question. We don't know what the self is. So we can't arrive at the truth that sages have told us that happiness lies in the self. We don't know that answer in reality. So we have to negate the other options to arrive at this.
It's better to have a more positive way. Like as we raise our values, we experience that. So it's better to go in that manner than just keep negating. If at all we are negating, it has to be accompanied with assertion. Like it's, I am not the body, mind, intellect. I am the self. That's the traditional thing, right? So I am not dedicated to merely my welfare. I am dedicated to the welfare of something, whatever. So it has to be
Both sides.
negation and assertion.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that is it for today. And I think you all know about the Upanishad retreat, right? Which is taking place at Rishihood University.